Howdy, gang, and let me get my little doodad there, my lower thirds there. Well, that's odd. I just noticed that they've messed around with crap again and messed all my stuff up. So give me just 1 second here, folks. Let me just remove myself. Okay. There we go. I don't know. I have no idea. They must have done an update to some things on StreamYard, because they basically took all my presets away and I had to put them back on here. Okay. Now then, I think I'm ready. If I don't cough my daggone head off. Hey, Candace. But I would like to welcome everybody to I would like to welcome everybody to the first episode of Court on the Cobe, where we're going to be talking about count them six, films that Sandy Cobe produced. And we're going to be talking about one that I had. Thanks, Candace. Candace says you've got this. My voice still doesn't sound great the longer I talk, but I've tried to keep drinking something, Coke or whatever, to keep this lubricated so I can talk. Because I don't know, I miss doing the streams and the videos and stuff like that. So I probably won't be on here like super long time tonight, because I do got to get some rest. Hey, Chris. I was originally going to do this at 8 o'clock and decided to push it up to 7 so that I could go ahead and be able to do this and also be able to rest, because I do have to work New Year's Eve. Bless you, those people that don't have to work New Year's Eve. I'm not jealous at all. I'm grateful that somebody gets New Year's Eve off. But some of us do have to work. I think Candace has to work. And I can't remember about Chris. I can't remember if Chris is working on New Year's Eve or not. Steve has to. I have to. I'm sure there are many of you. But if you do get the day off, that is awesome. I used to get that day off at some other jobs in the past, but not every job. Well, you'll be along with me and Steve, won't you? We'll be in good company at least. But as I told everybody on a video a couple of nights ago, um, you have to, but you may take off early tomorrow. Well, I would if I had any hours left, but I don't have any hours left. Yeah, I don't even get paid double. I wish I could say that, but they're not going to pay me double. But I'm glad that you do, Candace. I will be off for New Year's and then got to go back into it Thursday and Friday. But I worked an hour over today and I'm going to work an hour over tomorrow so that I can hopefully get out of there pretty at a pretty decent time and not have to work till, you know, 1:30 or whatever. I can get off at maybe 11:30 though. But as I had said on that other video, me and Steve have contracted COVID. This is about my third time having it, and Steve's first time, I believe. Um, and this has been the worst of the lot for me, and Steve has no comparison, and I hope he doesn't have anything to compare this to later on down the road. I hope we're, through with COVID. We're going to try to see if we can get the extra, look at this, booster shots or whatever you want to call them. So that maybe if we do get it, it won't be as bad as it was this time. It took us both down, and I had to, take little cat naps during my break and stuff today just because my energy levels are not up to snuff. But I am going to do the Corn on the Cobe tonight, the first episode of that. And I'm planning, if all goes well, keep your fingers crossed, toes crossed, whatever you can cross, um, that I will be able to do the watch along for New Year's Eve tomorrow night. Once work is over and all that jazz. I think I'm going to have it. I may go ahead and have it at 7 o'clock. I was going to have it at 9, but then I thought, after I got sick, I thought it might be better just go ahead and have it at 7. That way I can spend the rest of the night resting and ring in the new year, and hopefully it'll be a healthy start to the new year. I'm hoping. So, something I wanted to show off that I haven't had a chance to show off that Steve got me. It was one of my surprise Christmas gifts. And I got to find a way to incorporate it into the videos because I think that's mainly what he got it for me for. Was Steve got me this Evil Dead chick nameplate. And I thought this was really, really cool. The guy he got it from did this with a 3D printer, I believe. And it looks like, the lettering for the Evil Dead. And it, of course, has my screen name on it. But it's really cool. So I just wanted to show that off. And like I said, hopefully I can figure out a way to incorporate these into the videos and the streams so that you guys will be able to see it whenever I'm doing a stream. So, there's still a lot of stuff available, some more stuff that I've got to put on the shop site at deaditesondeck.com. The hard double feature candles are still available. So far, nobody has taken me up on those. The hot butter popcorn and the cola, they smell absolutely fantastic. I'm going to start putting some more up there soon, as well as starting to create some movie double features that aren't horror movies. In fact, I was toying around with the idea of doing an action double feature set for Roadhouse. That's going to be like whiskey scented or whiskey and tobacco scented, something to that effect. And Point Break, which will be like an ocean scent. both the movies have, or both the original movies have Patrick Swayze on them. So um, that might be a good little set for either the Patrick Swayze fan in your life, or for yourself, or just for an action movie person. So there are also T-shirts and tote bags and mouse pads and tumblers and just all kinds of stuff. And I do custom work. There's a form you can fill out on deadeyesondeck.com, and that way you can tell me what it is you want. I can quote you a price. If we come to an agreement on everything, I will be glad to work my magic for you. So now that we got all that out of the way, oh, and the Roadhouse Watch Along will be coming a couple of weeks from now. I think January 11th. Me and Steve will be doing the Roadhouse Watch Along, which we meant to do on Saturday, the 28th of December. But due to COVID, we didn't feel up to it and didn't think we would be good hosts for a watch along at that point. All right, so let's get to Corn on the Cobe, the films of Sandy Cobe, the two films I'm going to be talking about tonight that he produced, because he was primarily a producer, are The White Search and To All a Good Night. Now, I do have a visual for To All a Good Night, but I do not have one for 1970s The White Search. So, for those of you that haven't heard of The White Search, I'm going to give you a little plot synopsis on this. It's not going to be very interesting, folks. I'm not even going to lie to you. And I'm assuming that Sandy Cobe used a pseudonym on this because I watched the movie, and I didn't see his name anywhere. So this is listed. It's G-rated from 1970. It's listed as a documentary and a sport film. And the plot synopsis is American ski film pioneer Dick Barrymore, I never heard of the guy, pursues the white stuff in the mountains of Colorado, France, and Lebanon. Or Lebanon, how do you pronounce it? Goofy events, nail-biting bloopers, and gorgeous powder skiing ensue. So, I'll be totally honest with you guys and gals here. I was not impressed by this movie, but I am not that much into skiing. I've never went skiing myself, but my enjoyment of skiing would be more towards me actually doing it than watching a film about it. Now, there were a couple of 2 or 3 little comedic bits in it about this guy, Mr. Lawrence, um, who reads the skiing magazine, and he's evidently living in California, and he's a rich guy, and he wants his chauffeur to take him to um, somewhere called Sun Valley, where he wants to go skiing, and they end up in Death Valley, and he sees a mirage and thinks they're surfers, and he's going to go surfing, and he ends up, the story goes that he either got lost in the desert and was never found again, or that he became this white mustached older guy who led a group of skiers. But really, the documentary style approach to this didn't really work for me on this one. And unless you are just either obsessed with skiing or you're super interested in it, I don't think you're going to find much to enjoy about it. I found myself wanting to fast forward through it, and truth be told, I did a little bit. Candace, she said, I'm going to take your word for it and pass on watching it. LOL. Yeah, it is available. Some guy has painstakingly restored it on YouTube, and it looks really good. But, there are other films that I would rather see restored to kind of the pristine condition that this one was, other than the White Surge. Like I said, I had never heard of this film prior to getting this stuff set up for the Corn on the Cobe episodes. Now, perhaps Sandy Cobe thought after this one, I'm just going into horror movies, because I think all the rest of the 5 films that he did, that he produced, were horror films. I'm pretty sure they were. So if I was to, and I might as well, go ahead and review it. I don't know. I'd give it maybe 2 deadites out of 5. And that's being, super, super generous. Since I'm not doing the excellent movie reviews, I won't be doing the Bill and Ted thing tonight. But look out for there to be some excellent movie reviews, Evil Dead Chicks excellent movie reviews coming up, because I got some new things for Christmas that I'll probably want to review for it. But yeah, you're definitely not going to be missing anything with that one, Candace. Now, the next one is To All a Good Night, which I've just rewatched recently because it is a Christmas slasher film. Candace, she said, I'm sure there's someone out there who really loves skiing, who loves it. I'm sure there is. And God bless them. But, it's just not me. I'm sorry. Hey, Russell. I'm getting there, Russell. I've still got the low energy and the coughs at some points, and my voice is still not back to normal. But I'm hoping to feel better in 2025. I really, really hope so. But thank you for asking, Russell, and thank you for showing up for this stream. Now, I could have done this stream as a video, but, I was kind of itching to do a live stream. I really wanted to do some sort of live stream. So, to get back to All a Good Night, this was directed by Mr. David Hess. Yes, that David Hess that was in Last House on the Left and played a very violent guy in a lot of other films over the years, but who I met many years ago at my first Cinema Wasteland before I knew anybody that I hang out with now, and before I knew Steve or anything. But I think David Hess did a great job with this, and I think as far as producing credits go, this was one of the better films that Sandy Cobe did produce. Now, I know a lot of people will say Sandy Cobe, his track record wasn't very good. He did this one, and he produced Terror on Tour, and even acted in a small part as the theater manager in Terror on Tour. But I will be getting to that one soon, because like I said, there were only 6 films that Sandy Cobe actually produced. I thought he produced more, but when I get to the Dick Randall stuff, because I'm going to do a series of streams on Dick Randall, the films that he put out there. And he's going to have a lot more than Sandy Cobe. But To All a Good Night is a holiday slasher. And a Christmas slasher in particular. And it stars Jennifer Runyon, who I really like Jennifer Runyon. I think Jennifer Runyon is the best of the actresses in this film. And Catherine Harrington is also in this, playing. I think she's kind of like the interim house mother, while Mrs. Calvin, the lady that's head over this finishing school, is away. Um, and so we start out the film with a young girl who's being chased by a bunch of other girls, and they're yelling, sorority, sorority. And we find out that this girl comes to an unfortunate end when she falls out of a window, a la prom night, by accident. And you see some of the girls look familiar in that final shot before it really gets into the movie, that you're going to recognize later. So you realize that they were in on the prank gone wrong, or the hazing gone wrong, that caused the young girl to fall out the window and die. Hey, Russell, you say congrats on the first episode. What are we talking about tonight? Well, I did just finish talking about the white search, which I was telling everybody that unless you're super into skiing or you're obsessed with skiing, you're probably not going to find it that interesting. It has a few comedic parts in it, and it is available. I didn't finish up telling you where it was available. It is available on YouTube. Somebody has painstakingly restored it. Why, I don't know, but bless their heart, they decided that they had a calling to do that, I guess. It's also available on Tubi and Freebie as well. So there are 3 different ways you can watch that. Candace, you say you hate that you never got to meet him, talking about David Hess. Yeah, I mean, I wish I'd talked to him more. I mean, actually, David Hess was a very nice guy, and he was very laid back and quiet, and not at all like the characters he played, thank goodness. But name of the film, well, The White Search was the one I talked about first, but now we're talking about To All a Good Night, the Christmas slasher, Russell, from 1980. So we had these girls, a handful of girls, some of who were in on the hazing at the beginning. And if you have a sharp eye, I'm not going to tell you who the killer or killers are, because there actually turns out to be 2 killers in this film. And I don't want to give either one of them away, but if you have a sharp eye, you will notice the dead girl in a picture somewhere. So you may be able to figure out at least one of the killers in this. So, but I'm not going to tell you where that is or anything. I'll just leave that up to you. It is a cool little Christmas film, and it's the better of the 2 films that I'm talking about tonight, Russell. So you got a few girls that are staying behind during the Christmas holidays, while the other girls have went home for Christmas. Kind of like Black Christmas, where there were just a handful of girls that were staying back in the sorority house. And but somebody apparently is angry about the death of that girl from the beginning, and they're dressing as Santa and slowly killing people off. And there's some spectacular kills, in my opinion. One while this couple is having sex, and the guy gets skewered, kind of. He gets, an arrow through him, and then the girl gets her head cut off. and the head ends up later on in the shower. So hanging around in the shower. So um, I don't know. I think there's some cool death scenes in this, and I think it's very well paced. Excuse me, it's only 90 minutes. It is not rated. Um, but I wouldn't call this one overly gory or anything. But it packs a punch in the kills department, in my opinion. Um, Much more enjoyable film, like I said earlier, than The White Search. Definitely not documentary style like that one was. And so the girls, drug the house mother so that one of the girls' boyfriend can pilot in himself and a bunch of his buddies to hang out and party with the girls. And one other thing to take note of, Harry Reams, yes, the porn star, Harry Reams, has a small part as the pilot of this uh, unfortunate plane that brings these boys to the Calvin Finishing School to be taken out along with their little partiers, the females um, in this movie. Um, but decent movie. Like I said, I think David Hess did an excellent job with this one. I don't feel that it was boring. Um, or bloodless or anything like that. I thought it was well paced, had decent acting in it. I felt like Jennifer Runyon was the best of the bunch, though. Her and Forrest Swanson, who Jennifer Runyon actually dated before they were in this film. I think they had already broken up by the time this film came along. But they had some great chemistry together, and you could still tell they were friendly towards each other because the chemistry really worked in the film because they had a romantic interest. Their characters had a romantic interest in this film. But yeah, I would give this one. Um, I won't give it the top rating. Oh, people are probably so surprised. But I will give it 4 Deadites out of 5. I think it's worthy of 4 Deadites out of 5. And before I start winding things up, let me give y'all a sneak peek into letting you know which two I am going to cover. Now, Access Code, that's one he produced, and I don't think that's a horror film per se, which is one of the next ones I'm going to be covering. So, next Monday, I'll be covering Terror on Tour, woohoo, and Access Code. He was actually an executive producer on Access Code, which Access Code is about a secret organization gaining control over the American nuclear weapons, and a journalist ventures out to stop them. And it's got Martin Landau in it. So I've never seen Access Code. That's from 1984. It's listed as an action, adventure, mystery, sci-fi, and thriller. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can hunt that one up to watch. And Terminal Entry, that's another one he did. But most of the rest of his stuff was horror movies. So Terminal Entry I'll be covering last. And Terminal Entry is an action thriller that has Yaphet Kotto and Paul Smith. So, but we will be covering, or I'll be covering Terror on Tour and Access Code next Monday. And then the final episode and I'll remind y'all again or try to. The final episode of Corn on the Cob, there will only be 3 episodes of this, will be Open House, which was another horror movie, and Terminal Entry. So, actually, I think To All a Good Night got the highest rating of all of these, according to IMDb. And then Terminal Entry and Open House. I don't even think the White Search got any ratings, so. But, well, I agree, Russell. I've been agreeing for years that Terror on Tour is not that bad of a movie. Is it a perfect movie? No, it definitely has its flaws. But one thing I can say about it is I didn't ever find it boring or slow. Did I find it poor quality? Do I think we'll ever see a better quality? I hope so, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But a lot of people do not like Terror on Tour, and that's their prerogative to not like Terror on Tour. I liked Open House as well, Russell. I haven't seen Open House in years, so I'm going to enjoy going back and rewatching that one again. And Russell, you also say The Hold Back with Bruce Willis is a Christmas film is not bad, but it's not as great as Die Hard. I'd have to watch that one, The Hold Back. I don't think I've seen that one. But I guess that is all from me for tonight, folks. I've been on here a little over 30 minutes, so that's decent. But I want to thank everybody that stopped in and everybody that will watch this on the replay for joining me for the first episode of Corn on the Cob. And yes, that was a term that Steve came up with when we were doing, I think, Terror on Tour commentary. Thank you, Candace. I appreciate that. And so thank you guys for joining me, guys and gals, for joining me for the first episode of Corn on the Cob, where we talked about the White Search from 1970 and To All a Good Night from 1980. And I guess that is it for me for now. But I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. And remember, folks, we're not into the new year yet, but you can start your New Year's resolutions early. If you've been having issues or disagreements with friends and or family members this year, please, take some time to extend a word of kindness, extend the olive branch, extend some understanding and forgiveness and all that good stuff, because none of us are promised a tomorrow, and we don't ever want to have any regrets, do we? Thank you, Russell. Russell says, great stream and looking forward to more. Well, thank you, Russell. I appreciate that. And you said there's an uncut version of Open House on YouTube. I may check that one out to watch it again. Thank you for letting me know about that, Russell. And anybody else that would like to watch that film. But that is it from me, folks. But hopefully I'll be able to see everybody tomorrow night for the New Year's Eve watch along. And I'm out of here for now, but I'll see everybody next time.